Hello everyone, I am Vibha Chauhan and welcome to NCERT Classes Funda Clear. So today I will discuss Class 8 History Chapter 10, which is the last chapter of Class 8 History and is very important. So chapter is India after Independence. So till now in the Class 8 History we have seen the situation before the independence of India. We have seen that Britishers came in India, the takeover of the territories of the kingdoms of India, new rules, new regulations that were imposed on India, the growing of industries, the decline of craft. We have discussed about the Great Revolt of 1857 and its aftermath. And in the previous chapter, we had discussed about the national movements, and we have seen that India had gained its independence and was partitioned. So in this chapter we will be discussing about the situation after the independence of India. What happened after independence to India? What were the situations? How were the states to be formed? What were the plannings for development? What was the constitution? Main features of constitution. We will be covering all this in this chapter. So what we are going to study? What are the topics of this chapter? The topics of this chapter are: a new and divided nation, a constitution is written, how were states to be formed, planning for development, the nation 60 years on. So the first topic is a new and divided nation. So in 1947, India had gained its independence from Britishers and was partitioned. India was partitioned and two countries, India and Pakistan, were partitioned. Pakistan was partitioned from India, and due to this 8 million refugees came to India for shelter. They were not allowed to enter Pakistan by their government, and thus they came into India for shelter. So the problem was that for government how to take them, how to give them homes, how to give them jobs. That was a major problem because 8 million, that was a very high, that was much number of people. So it was hard for government. And after independence, the government of India had faced many problems. They were not only one problem, there were many problems. Like after independence, the population of India was around 345 million from different regions, from different castes, from different genders, from different religions. So there were many diversity in India. People were diverse. They had used their own clothes. They used to wear different clothes. They had their own taste. They had their own different taste from other people. Like you can see difference of the northern people of India from the southern part of the India. So there were many differences, you can say many diversity. So the problem for the government was to unite them as one nation. And after independence, there were around 500 princely states which were ruled by Maharaja or Nawabs. So problem was that for their integration, because if princely states were not satisfied with India and were not joining the India and had announced their own autonomy and had announced their own country, that they were making their own country, so that would be very problemful with India. They had many problems with it. So the main credit of integration of India goes to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, who had integrated all the princely states of India. So after independence, there were many problems. You can say the government had faced many problems, like to make strategy of politics, to make strategy of government, how to govern India, because before the independence, the government of India had promised the Indian National Congress, which was in power, which had power during that time, had promised that they would make laws, they will govern country so that accepted by all people of India. But you can see there were many differences. So how could government strategy could be accepted by all the people of India? How to make strategy was another problem for the government. How to govern India was another problem. So these were all the problems due to a divided and new nation. So our next topic is a constitution is written. So around 1946 to 1949, there was made a assembly which which was known as a Constituent Assembly, which had 300 members from different throughout the country of India, throughout the India. So the main objective of this assembly, a Constituent Assembly, had to make a constitution for India, and they had made constitution over debates, many debates, because there were many debates over the strategy, over the how to govern India. So a constitution was made and it came into effect on 26th January 1950, and there were many features of constitution. There were many laws which had many features which had advanced India. One of the most important features was the adoption of universal adult franchisee. According to this franchisee, people above the age of 21 had right to vote irrespective of their gender, irrespective of their religion, caste, race, gender, all things, irrespective of their rich, poor, lower caste, upper caste, tribal people, scheduled tribes. So they all had right to vote. So you may have been confused because present day now the limit of age is 18, but earlier it was 21 and later it became 18. So there were many features of constitution. Like second feature of it was that all citizens of India were equal before law, because all people were equal before law, irrespective of their all things, irrespective of their religions. And many people were trying, when many people were giving their suggestion to the Prime Minister of India, to the government of India, that in India there would be only Hindus, because it was a country which was of Hindu. We have to make it as a Hindu state. That was their suggestion. But the Prime Minister of India was not satisfied with this. He said, in his opinion, it was wrong, because if we also make a Hindu Pakistan, then what would be the difference between us and Pakistan? And people were suggesting as an example of Pakistan, because Pakistan during that time was the main country of Muslims. So you can see Prime Minister of India Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru refused this suggestion. And the third feature of constitution which was very important was to advance the poorest people of India, the practice of untouchability between the upper class people, between the lower class people, because during that time there was a practice of untouchability. The lower caste people were not allowed to enter temples, so this practice was removed. They were equal, and the lowest people, the poorest people, which were tribal people, even the scheduled tribes, were advanced with this feature, with this constitution, because they were also people of India, and the tribals which were not educated and had lost their property and had lost the property of forest. So government tried to advance all of them to see equal before the law, and they were given opportunity as the other people of India, as equal as the other people of India. They were even given the seats in the legislature assembly, and over this situation, over this there were many debates, because many people were thinking that they were not made to be given seats in legislature assembly. So there were many debates, but at last they were given seats in legislature assemblies. In Indian administrative services they were given, and they were given also government jobs. So they were as equal as other people, as upper class people. They were not inequality. There were many features of constitution. We have discussed only three. There were many, and the main credit, there were many people who made the constitution, who wrote the constitution, but the main credit of framework of constitution goes to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who was also even from the lower caste. So he had framework, and he was a member of drafting committee. So he had framed work of the constitution, and the main credit goes to him. And in his opinion, it was that India's government should not focus only on the political democracy. They should focus on the economy as well as the masses, because if they had given only the right of vote of all people, that doesn't mean that the inequality doesn't doesn't exist, because during that time only the people were given the right to vote, but in the society so-called lower caste people were seen as lower, and the upper caste, so-called upper caste, were seen as upper. So B.R. Ambedkar said that we have to focus on economy, because economic democracy was important. There were differences, there were inequalities between rich and poor. So this was his opinion. And framing the constitution, the leaders of Indian National Congress, the leaders of government felt that there were many debates, and one of such debates was over the power. Which power? Means the power which was all for the country would be given to whom? To the central power or to the state power? To the central government or to the state government? That was a major problem during that time, because people were confused whether to give all authority, all power of India to the central power, to the central government, or whether to state government. That was a major problem during that time. And many people were suggesting different opinions. Many leaders were suggesting that central government was for all the country, and it's in the central. So we have to give all the power, all the authority of India to the central. Whether other leaders suggested that state should announce their autonomy. The power should be given to them to feel more freely, to be feel more, you can say, autonomy to India. So that was a major problem, and we have dealt with it in a different way. We made it solution by this. We made 3 lists. The first was union list. In this list there were affairs of foreign, there were foreign affairs, there were the matters of taxes which would be given to the central. This power was given to the center. And second list was state list. In this list, that affairs of health and education were given to the states. And third was the concurrent list, in which both central and the state had to work together and maintain the matters of agriculture, maintain the matters all over the country. They had to maintain these matters into this. So we had made its solution during like this. And another major problem during that time was language. What would be the language of India? What would be the major, you can say, mother tongue of India? And many people suggested that Britishers had gone from India, so we have to deny English from India, and we should accept in Hindi as our mother language. But non-Hindi speaking opposed this, because they were not speaking Hindi, non-Hindi speaking. Then how could they accept this? From the southern part of India, T.T. Krishnamachari said that from all the southern part, from the half basis of southern part, he said if Hindi was imposed from them, then they would apart from India. So that was a major problem. So the government of India accepted this and made Hindi as an official language. That was not the national language of India, that was the official language of India. And English was seen as the language in the courts, in the government services, in the communication between two states. So we have dealt this problem like this. This was all about how the constitution was written. So our next topic is how were states to be formed. So around 1920s, the Indian National Congress, which was in power, I have already talked about it, which was main struggler for the you can say independence of India during that time, had promised the people, the masses of India, that they would separate their own states on the basis of linguists, on the basis of languages. They were talking on the major of languages. They would separate, they would, you can say, apart the states, they would differentiate the states. But after the independence, they didn't complete their promise, because they were afraid of new country would be, there would be a new partition, because Pakistan was also based on the religion, then how could they support the partition of languages? That was a major problem. So they denied to make different states for different languages, and people were disappointed by this because the government has not taken its promise. So it made it disappointed, and many people started to protest against it, make to movements against this, like the Malayalam speakers who were from Kerala, present day Kerala, like the Kannada speakers which were from the Karnataka present day, and the Marathi speakers, and the most strongest, you can say, the protest was from the Telugu speaking areas of Madras, because during that time Madras was a big province, and in this the many people were Telugu speaking. So they wanted their own state, that was Andhra. But the Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, the Prime Minister of India, completely denied it. And when the elections were nearly coming, the Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, in 1952, took the reason of the Madras, of the Telugu speaking of area of the Madras, which was now Andhra Pradesh, and the protesters which were against this, they wanted their own Andhra, said welcomed him with black flags. So that was a major protest, and from that region a leader came to us, that was Potti Sriramalu, and he sat on a hunger strike for 58 days, and after 58 days he died, and that made people very disappointing, and after that they started riots, and because of this the central government was forced to complete their demand and made a new state which came to be known as Andhra, and subsequently it became Andhra Pradesh. And on 1st October 1953 Andhra Pradesh was made. Andhra Pradesh was separated from Madras, and that is very important point, you can say. And on the basis of this, many people from different areas were starting to protest in the same way, and for this central government had to make you can say state reorganization committee, and the state reorganization committee said that we have to separate Assamese, Oriya speakers, Tamil speakers, Malayalam speakers. And in 1960 the northern parts of India were also being separating by the government of India. Like in 1960, Bombay was separated, was differentiated, was you can say partitioned into Gujarat and Mumbai, you can say, because there were two people who were the Marathi speakers and the Gujarati speakers. So Gujarati speakers wanted their own state, so they asked for the demand, they demanded for Gujarat. And in the similar way, in 1966, the areas of Punjab were partitioned into Punjab and Haryana. So in the same way, the northern part of India as well as the southern part of India were being partitions, and now we have our 28 states now. So you can see that there were many problems over this, and how were the states were to be formed, how the states formed during that time. So next topic is planning for development. So the new nation, the new government of India was trying to develop India, was trying to overcome the poverty, and it wanted to do some work. They were doing some work, the government of India was doing some work, and for this in 1950 a planning commission was introduced, was made by the government of India, and they had adopted this strategy of mixed government, you can say, from which the state, that means government, and the local markets, the private sectors had to do work together. Both of them have to do. That means the government and the private, which own their own private market, you can say private shops, had to do work together. And the planning commission's main objective was to saw them, was to supervise them, you can say, and was to make them do work together, was to make planning for the developments of India. That was the main objective of planning commission. And in 1956, India had adopted the strategy of 5 year. That was the 5-year government, you can say. And according to this, we were trying to make a strategy for the upcoming 5 years. And in 1956, the government of India was mainly focusing on heavy industries like steel, like metal, and on building of large dams over rivers. And that there were many supporters of this government, of the, you can say, on the decision of the government, but they were vocal critics as well as the supporters. Many people were suggesting, many people were saying that it was wrong to build that many large dams, and disciple of Gandhi, Mirabai, said that it was wrong and we have to do, because science and modern only give the technology, only give the progress of mankind, but when nature wants, there will be desolation, there will be destruction over the earth, over the world. That was Mirabai's statement. So you can see that there were many plannings for development, and there were many side effects as well as the, you can say, benefits. So that was all about the plannings for developments. What were the plannings of developments? The planning commission was made for this. So next and last topic of this chapter is the nation 60 years on. Here on the book, it was published before earlier, many years ago. So it is written as 60 years, but now it has been more than 70 years after independence. So till now what we have gained, you might have been thinking. So till now we have gained many things. We have, till now, after independence, we are a democratic country. India is a democratic country. It is a big fact, and it has united all the people of India. You can say there are many religions, there are many faiths of people, caste, religions, there are many unbeliefs in India, but after all this, we have gained unity in India. And many people were saying that India could not survive, they would partition on the basis of linguists or on the basis of religions. But you can see we have gained a great success in this part, that after independence, more than 13 general elections have been held, and more than hundreds of state elections or the areas district elections have been held in India after independence. That's a big fact, because many of the countries thought that India could not survive because it was there were many diversity in India. But you can see we have gained a democratic country, but these are the benefits. What are the side effects? There were many problems in India still now after the independence, after these many years of independence. There are inequality between rich and poor. Rich are growing more richer and poor are growing more poorer after independence. That's a big problem. There is a much inequality between them. We have given all people are equal between before the law, before the government, but in the real life, in the society, they are treated unequally in many parts of India, in the rural areas and even in the urban areas. There is a differentiation, there is inequality between rich and poor, and most of the rural areas of India still do the inequality between upper caste people, lower caste people. So you can see there are many inequalities in India, which people have suffered so much. And on the basis of economy, on the basis of government, there is still inequality, because many industries grown in many states, and whereas many states are still out of the industries, there had not been any industries in many regions of India. So that had made also inequality, because in many states there are many big industries, but in many regions of India there were no industries, there are no, you can say, facilities. Then how could that be? And this all has happened after the independence, after more than 70 years of independence. We can say that we had not achieved a big success, a great success, but we have not even failure. We have not even failed after independence. So this was all about the chapter India after independence. So I have discussed all topics and subtopics. Thank you very much.